Michael Jackson's little sister, Janet, and his baby girl, they're close and they agree, apparently. They both hate the Michael biopic, not interested in what it's offering up, even though their own relative is getting rave reviews for playing the King of Pop in it. Tell you what it's about. Michael Jackson's new self titled biopic enraged his sister Janet and his daughter Paris. Why are they so upset? Well, Janet reportedly got into a phone argument with her brother Jermaine after Michael was screened for the Jackson family in Los Angeles. Janet is said to have been very critical of the film after the screening, while Jermaine loudly applauded, TMZ reported. As for her being left out of the script, TMZ was told it would only have been a bit role anyway. What did Jackson say? If all of this is true, they got some unfinished business in the family. Though the film was backed by the Jackson family estate, Janet had no involvement and is not featured in the film. TMZ reporting that she was offered a role in production but declined to participate. Janet's always been insanely jealous of Michael, and her career's in the toilet. TMZ's anonymous source said, Jermaine, and this is my opinion. I mean, come on. Who said that? But the man she's reportedly on the phone, they're shouting at each other. That's my opinion. It's an opinion. I have no independent information. While the recent claims of envy being the fuel behind her recent conflict with her family, her past actions prove otherwise. Last year, Janet made headlines because she was faced with offers to shoot her own biopic and tell the story of her life and career, but she reportedly turned down all of the offers. Her stance is that she wants her late brothers to enjoy the spotlight before her. The Blast reported that her decision stemmed from her desire to allow her family to focus solely on Michael and relive their favorite memories. Michael's own daughter, Paris, now 27, called the film script dishonest, filled with inaccuracies. She's no longer involved in the project. The thing about these biopics is it's Hollywood, it's Fantasyland, it's not real, but it's sold to you as real, Paris said on Instagram. The narrative is being controlled, and there's a lot of inaccuracy, and there's a lot of just full-blown lies. At the end of the day, that doesn't really fly with me. Star Coleman Domingo, who plays controversial Joe Jackson in the biopic, told people that Paris and her brother Prince Jackson were very much in support of our film. Paris responded to Domingo's comments via her Instagram story, calling the actor out directly for alluding that she had been very helpful during the production. Quote, I read one of the first drafts of the script and gave my notes about what was dishonest and didn't sit right with me. And when they didn't address it, I moved on with my life. Not my monkeys, not my circus. God bless, Godspeed. She's getting her hair done in this picture, right? It's just my observation. Anyway, it's got nothing to do with this. Look, I think these historical pictures are difficult. I have no idea what it would be like to be Michael Jackson's sister or daughter, of course. But we all have our individual relationships and experiences. It's like when you have siblings who feel a certain way about their view of an event that happened growing up, their view of their parents that perhaps is different from yours. Is it for you to say that's not true, that didn't happen, not that way? Or are we each allowed to have our individual relationships with our close family members that may or may not jibe? What do you make of this? The Jacksons have had feuds before. It's Jermaine's kid, I believe, who is the lead, playing the King of Pop, Elliot. But it's sad to me. And I can also see the Hollywood production angle that they do take creative license sometimes. But when that's your dad or that's your older brother, maybe you can't get down with that.
Yeah, I don't fault anybody for who is involved or been intimately known a subject of one of these movies who is like, actually, you got a bunch of things wrong, and I don't support the movie anymore. I say, hey, go with God. If that's your take, your opinion, that's how you feel. Absolutely. Personally, I don't know that any film, regardless of whether it props itself up as being a tried and true documentary, or if they take liberties, or if it's just full blown fiction, whatever objectively happened throughout Michael Jackson's life, I don't know that anybody has access to that information. There's no like bird's eye view or God's eye view, I think, that you can give of a person's life like that. And then, yeah, you have all like the business side and the showbiz side. So I think any one perspective should try as best as possible to do justice to what happened. But there's multiple ways to do that too. It doesn't always have to be like I'm doing justice by making sure every fact is factual. I think you can also tell truth in a more metaphorical way, in a narrative sense, without necessarily doing an injustice to the figure that you're trying to ostensibly honor. But who knows if that's what's going to happen? I'm interested to see how it pans out. But I'm not really surprised that family members are going, yeah, no, thank you on this.
Yeah. And here's the thing, I'm not a movie buff, but I'll probably end up watching it at some point in the future, who knows when it pops up and I say, "Okay, I got nothing else to do, I'll watch this."
Mhm.
Paris has, and her siblings, but really her, has big issues with, the executors of the estate. There's talk that, one, Michael Jackson actually fired repeatedly and could not stand, who's now in charge. They've been paid hundreds of millions of dollars, and she takes issue with that. They counter and say, and we brought in billions, and you've been paid a ton of money. So there might be some of that too. But I find it fascinating, and I'll give you the last word, that we're talking about Michael Jackson, who lived his entire life in the public eye, was, I think, safe to say, the most scrutinized person on earth. Probably was at one point, and for decades, perhaps even. And yet, there can't be a consensus about who he really was.
Yeah,
And I,
because
I think it's fascinating.
it is fascinating. I mean, he's objectively, if there is anything objective we can know, is he's a larger than life figure. And he, I think, takes up a certain amount of room in everybody's psyche that grew up during that time or after that time, because he's one of the most influential people on the face of the planet who's ever lived in human history. So yeah, you're gonna have like an imperfect representation of whatever that is, but I don't think you can get away with that really, or get around that. I think it's inevitable to some degree. So hopefully they make a good movie that does justice to his life and is also honest. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, Jermaine's son is said to have getting rave reviews for becoming, literally becoming,
Yeah.
the king of pop. I was waiting for there to be dueling biopics where one of the brothers would do this and another one would say, no, here's the real one, a little twist on it. And maybe there still will be. Maybe Paris will do something. Who knows?